Today in the shop, we got a 13-inch Dewalt thickness planer. Now this one is for all you woodworking enthusiasts that are serious about what you're doing. This little thickness planer, they're actually a pretty good thickness planer. You know, they keep going and going. Little things you have to do for some maintenance, but pretty minor. Today, we're going to upgrade it. We're actually going to put a helical head in it. Now, if you're familiar with helical heads, it's just a head with all rows of individual blades, knives, I guess you want to call them that. The benefits are huge. The sound is reduced, the efficiency of your cut is better, everything about it's better. And in the long run, if you're using your thickness planer a lot, it'll save you money because blades are expensive. So first off, I'd really like to run a piece of, this is a piece of black wool, I'm going to run this through and going to see if there's any changes after I get it all done. I really hope that there is anyway. So we're going to run that through, so you got to listen and kind of remember. Blades in this one are pretty good. Not really getting any grooving or anything like that. So these are nice blades in here. They're not wore out, so it's not making a lot of horrible sounds. But we will soon find out. Now let's take a look at this helical head. Now I put a few of these in. Make sure that you've got some Band-Aids. These little blades are sharp, sharp, sharp. So you can kind of see here. So we got rows with spiral and just got the individual knife, four-sided. So if you do run a piece of wood through that's got a little rock or something like that, puts a nick in there, all you do is give her a spin, you're good to go. So your downtime is eliminated. You don't have to go out and buy some new blades. Now what else we get? We got a new end here for your belt. A couple new bearings, which is awesome, because usually you wait till this thing's worn out before you do anything with it. We got a new wrench with the this is to loosen off all the ends here. Got the Torx end on it. Got some new blades and some new screws. It's a pretty awesome little kit. This one here is made by Craftex. I'm not really a whole bunch familiar with them, but we'll see how it goes. Alright, let's get at her. Just using the wrench that comes with the planer. We'll take the top off first. Now if you're not familiar with the Dewalt, and by the way we're unplugged, if you're not familiar, these are just some lengthened up bolts. It's actually a pretty good little design here. I'll take these off. I can multitask. Then you lift up, this is the dust chute, you just lift it up, bit of a turn, pull straight out. It's kind of set up on a little groove here. Alright, step one. Oh, actually that's step two. And I'm just taking the handle off. Actually what I'll do, think we're going to need to work on this side. I'll take this stuff off and then we'll turn this around. Handle off. Take this back plate off. We're going to remove these blades. Take a number 30 Torx. Could do it by hand, but why? Yeah, blade's good shape. Just about brand new. We'll switch that one out for the other one that we have. Also removed, this is the lock here. So when you, when it pops up, when you take your dust shield off, it pops up and locks the blade in so it doesn't move on you. I'm just looking at these two bolts here. Now, whoever installed this must have used a driver of some sort and they stripped it. So now I gotta deal with it. So I'm gonna try with the chisel and hammer and see if I can loosen it. If not, I'll have to weld the nut on, replace the bolts with something better. Here we go. Well, way easier than I thought. Yeah, I think we can leave that spring hanging there. That seemed to be in good shape. Let's see if I can roll this belt off of here. Just like that. Now we got to determine, it appears that the thread on that one is pretty normal, so we just have to go counterclockwise. Sometimes you want to look, sometimes these will actually be a left-hand thread, but that appears to be pretty normal. Let's buzz that off. Okay, this is a 15/16. So hold on to it this way. Pop that off. Hey, if you haven't got one of these, man, you're missing out. A little snap ring in there, so we just need to get some snap ring pliers, pull that out. Alright, let's see if we can figure out how to get this thing out now. Oh, this side looks way more fun. Take the spring off the idler. Alright. Gotta get in here because I can't see very well. There we go. Snap ring off the gear. There. Just pull that off. I think. No, looks like I gotta take the other one off. Alright. I think we just have to undo some screws and some bolts. Let's see what kind of goodies we got in behind here. A little bit of a gasket there, so let's be careful there. Lots of gears. Got a thrust washer. The thrust washer probably goes right there. Alright, so let's take that gear off. Alright, what I'm doing here is I'm going to show you what I'm doing here. So this is that new drive gear here that rides on one of the gears. Just zoom in maybe. So I'm just taking a punch and I'm just tapping on this to drive that bearing out that way. Now we could probably drive the bearing out from inside, but it's kind of hard to do. So I think this is still the best method here. Just like that. One cutter head. Beauty. That looks good. This is the old cutter head here. Now, when I tapped it out, driving it out this way, I just put a punch on here. I wasn't too sure how big this hole was. But a better method would be just take your 6 mil that fits over top of this nut, and then you can just drive it straight out from there. That is probably the best way to do it. That way you're not going to slip, damage anything. So, there you go. Master tip. Okay, before we assemble a cutter head here, we got a little bit of grease and stuff on there. Just gonna give it a little bit of thinner here, and I'm gonna go blow it off. Make sure we're good and clean. Cleanish. Be right back. I'm just putting the bearings on this new cutter head. This one here I just tapped it on. I'm actually using a spark plug socket for this one. It fits the inner race really well. So I'm going to show you two methods of putting this cutter head in. Now, I prefer the safer method. It takes 5 minutes to take the teeth off. It takes you maybe 10 minutes to put them back on. And then you don't have to worry about trying to grab this with the teeth on. Or, if you prefer not to take the teeth off, I'll show you how you can actually put the cutter head in without removing any teeth. You will have to remove maybe 4 teeth on the main side here. I'll show you that in a minute. Now we're going to put our... Nice thing about doing it this way, everything's all assembled. You don't have to worry about doing anything while it's all in here. Just give that a little shot. That's a 6mm. Okay. I'm going to get a little closer here. You can see what I'm doing. So if you prefer not to take all the knives off, what you can do, leave this bearing off here, and then you can slide this in, and then you'll have to pull the cutter head this way a little ways. That's why you have to take those 4 teeth off. And then you'll have to put this on your drive. You'll have to screw that in, and then you can push everything back in this way. Then you have to put your bearing in on the outside. That's one way. Or take the teeth off and just slide her in. Okay, just like that. Now I'm gonna tap on the shaft, so I'm gonna put the nut on first. That way I'm not gonna damage the threads up. Just gonna lightly tap just to get everything started. This is one of the bolts that you use to bolt the knife down with. I just stuck one in so I've got something that I can grab onto to center this thing when I pound it in. Okay, I've got everything centered. Now I'll use the socket so it won't do any damage. Check to see how things are going over here. Looks good. We're bottomed out. Cutter head rotates wonderful. Okay, now we start doing everything in reverse. Don't forget your thrush washer. take some of this grease here and grease up that new drive. Now if you're afraid of all the little gears in there, which isn't that bad at all, you probably could just take that whole gearbox off. You just undo the big long bolts. And then you have to worry about this shaft here. Just focus that in. So that shaft right there, that basically just changes the gears. You'd have to loosen that off and that whole shaft would have to come out. I guess just as easy just to pull off the plate, pound it out that way. Just putting in the last of the knives here. Now you got to make sure that everything is clean. If you got a little piece of sawdust or something underneath and you tighten her up, you'll break it. Super simple. They give you a little wrench to tighten these up with and take them off. Just give them a snug, but don't overdo it. Now when you have to change one of these, hope that's in focus, there's going to be a lot of pitch and dirt on these. You're going to have to take and scrape that off. I just use a knife. Make sure everything's perfectly clean before you replace the knife. So 3 more to go. Now the only part that we got left over is this lock here. They used to lock the cutter head so you could take the blades off. But we don't need that anymore. So let's give this thing a try. Well, we did the test on it. Not that happy. It leaves quite a snipe at the beginning and at the end, which isn't good. Now, that's a tough problem. And what I'm suspecting is that a lot of times, I know that when I've changed the cutter heads before, not on this particular model, but others, it's usually a little smaller in diameter than what the original cutter head was. So that means that the rollers are out. Now there's no adjustment on these. I was hoping I'd get through this project without having to think, but I'm going to have to turn the switch on and come up with a plan. But I'll figure it out, and when I do, I'll get right back to you here. It's going to be a tough one.